I promise you, ladies and gentlemen, this will be worth the wait here on Sportswire Radio in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage here, the platform where our guest and BTW most certainly helped make Sportswire Radio, where all music and wrestling matters, to the tune here of nearly 1,500 subscribers. And we are going to talk about what our guest did this past Tuesday at the BTW Rumble 9. In some ways, maybe Jalen Brunson of the New York Knicks was watching our guest here tonight, because our guest here certainly, he pulled a rabbit out of the hat winning that Rumble, and while Jalen Brunson kind of pulled a rabbit out of the hat for those New York Knicks, because it looked like they were up, they were down, they were up, they were down, and well, they found a way, kind of like our guest here. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about also our guest, now a member of IGPW, and maybe here's looking at you, James Taylor, again. But first, we'll talk about JB and that chairs match, and we'll talk about whatever else that our guest wants to talk about. Maybe a brother we'll have to bring up, and maybe a significant other. Ladies and gentlemen, in the words of Def Leppard frontman Joe Elliott, let's get rocked and start this show, because I see our chat is waiting for it, and I have probably for the first time been more than half the comments to, as some would say in wrestling, give our guest time, almost to buy him a hold and get him here on Sportswire Radio, because like I said, he was definitely interchanneling his own Jalen Brunson. But let's get this show on here on the road in style on Sportswire Radio, the number one global radio station where all music and wrestling matters. So with that, without further ado, here on the Sports Report, number one Travel Sports Show. Oh man, that was the BTW Rumble 9 winner. Oh man, that is the only person in Sportswire Radio history simultaneously to hold not one, not two, but 3 belts. He's the newest member of the IGPW roster, and he's the reigning, defending BYW Interpromotional Champion of the World. His name is simply put, the GOAT of BYW, the King of the West, the champ is here. My friend, how are we doing?
Ladies and gentlemen, to the Toms of the world, to the RJSs of the world, and even to people like the Justin Parsleys of the world, I am doing absolutely fantastic. You want to know why I'm doing fantastic? Because it just seems like everything Comatose says comes true.
I thought you were about to talk about, for whatever reason, Jalen Brunson finding a way to pull the New York Knicks over the finish line over the Detroit Pistons, but nobody on this platform wants to hear us talk about that. So I don't think that that's why you're feeling as good.
I was more so crying about my Lakers during that
Yeah,
time
I was
period.
actually watching that yesterday, and yeah, it was almost like a slow car crash there or train coming into the station. I thought they could pull it over the finish line, but they didn't. They didn't have a great first half. They sort of got back in. They took the lead in the fourth quarter, as pretty much that entire series, the Minnesota Timberwolves just found ways. And I'll remember the name Rudy Gobert because he certainly had his playoff coming out party. But enough about
For
that.
sure.
We're not here to talk about the NBA playoffs. We are here to talk about you, Comatose, because I see the chat now is starting to arrive because they are waiting for you. And I'm going to ask you the question to start the show off here in style on Sportswire Radio in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the platform that you and BTW most certainly helped build, Sportswire Radio, to the tune of nearly 1,500 subscribers, where we have had on big shot after big shot, legend after legend. Tell us, Comatose, how does it feel to have won the BTW Rumble this past Tuesday?
This, in my career, is a monumental moment. And I must say, it is definitely one that I am going to remember for a very long time. Because, ladies and gentlemen, if you do follow the history that is my history, my book that I am writing, when I came to BTW, it was last year. What event was that I debuted into? It was the BTW Rumble. And what happened in that match, ladies and gentlemen? I came this close to winning it. And I should have won it, but due to a lack of incompetence with referees, as there is all over the backyard, I did not win last year's BTW Rumble. But then, I had a very long and treacherous road to make it back to the BTW Rumble. And this year, I was in a triple threat for the television title that I made so relevant in BTW. I was trying to get back to become a double champion. I failed. And you know what? I know last time when I was on this platform, I said a lot of things to RJS and I said a lot of bad things. But the more prepared man won that match. And I will say that for sure. There were many times that I could have won that match. There were many times that I could have been your double champion if, like I said, it wasn't for incompetent reffing. But I did not win that match. And I had to face that. And that drove a fire in me. More than anything, that I couldn't retain and regain something that I made so relevant in backyard wrestling, and not even just backyard wrestling, the very home company that I'm in now. So you want to know what I went and did? I played, like RTG likes to say, chess and not checkers.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Fair points. Let me ask you this question. And I was thinking about this as we were waiting for you to come on. And I was thinking about asking you this question when I was in my home territory in beautiful, well, I don't know if it's beautiful anymore, but it's still Brooklyn, New York, which is still always home to me. And if you had the choice of either reclaiming the BTW Television Championship or of won the BTW Rumble like you did, if you had a choice of either one, winning the TV title or winning the Rumble, what would you have chose?
I'm not going to lie, that is probably one of the best questions that I have been asked in a very, very long time, and a very thoughtful question that I'd have to think out, because in all honesty, I built that television title's reputation from the ground up. Let's face it, ladies and gentlemen, before Comatose came into the television title scene, there were people like Clevis and Bleephead, just to give you a.
They were in the Rumble, though. We did see them in the
They were
Rumble.
they were in the Rumble, but then you also had like the Wolverine brothers and like
Well, I was doing a news show
Manson.
yesterday, and one of the people that listens to the show called me Wolverine, but I've been called that so many times. So, I mean, listen, I can't slack on Wolverine there.
Wolverine, and then of course we have Rick Manson, who before me
Yes.
may have been the most coveted television champion of
Who
all
we saw in the
time.
Rumble, who did
Who we
come
saw
into
in
the
the
Rumble.
Rumble, for
Yep.
sure. But then I came along, and then what happened? Then you had people like RJS get interested. You had
Yeah.
people like Mad Jack get interested. You had
Yeah.
people like Swift. You had a whole
Steven
slew
Storm.
of names.
Steven
Steven
Storm.
Storm, who I took it from.
Yep.
There was a whole slew of names that started to get interested in that title
Yep.
because I made it so relevant, I feel. But then, of course, then you have the BTW Rumble, right? And I debuted in that match.
Yep.
And I lost in a very
Controversial fashion, which
controversial matter. Yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
So if I were to answer your question, since one history has already been written, it feels just a tad bit better to rewrite a wrong.
Yeah, because if you think about it, right? Let's go with the scenarios. Let's go with the hypotheticals. In politics, they'd always say you got to war game it. So let's war game it out. You win the television title, you reclaim the television title. You're Comatose two belts, and you reclaim the championship that you controversially lost in your own right. Okay, fine. We'll certainly go with that. Or the other option was, which you spoke a lot about on Sunday's show when you came in, when this was RTG segment. Yeah, RTG, baby. And you talked about winning that Rumble, and you talked about World Championship number 8 and setting your sights on Blackout. So let's just say you had won the television title back from RJS, but you didn't win the Rumble. You might have left that show with a sour taste in your mouth, because even though you won a championship, you're back to being a double champion. You didn't get to your ultimate end game of winning a world heavyweight championship and winning your 8th world title and winning one here in BTW, which would be obviously the biggest world championship of your career. So you
For
could
sure.
look at it and saying, well, I won the Rumble. It's almost like if you had won the battle and lost the war. That's like the television title hypothetical. But winning the Rumble is almost like that's maybe where you won the war, because that's what everybody remembers. They don't remember at the beginning of the show when you lost the television title and RJS pinned you. They remember you coming out and having to do what you went through to win that Rumble and eliminate Andre Xavier, who certainly had an impressive showing in his own right. And you walked away with what people will remember is that BTW Rumble win, which basically punches your ticket ultimately to what you talked about here Sunday night, which was World Championship number 8, and setting you up with a huge showdown with Blackout, who I remind people here walked off the stage. He walked off here with RTG. He walked off. He was upset. The monster basically had enough. So those are the hypotheticals. And, if I were you, I probably would have rather have won that Rumble, because you ended it on a positive note and you ended with what you talked about here, which was World Championship number 8 and that showdown with Blackout.
Yes, and I do have to agree with you, and it may be at the slightest just because of history and maybe biasism, but I do have to agree with you because the ultimate goal since I have come back to backyard wrestling, regardless of what company it's been in, is to get World Championship number 8. And I am and will be on that path until it happens. And ladies and gentlemen, when I get that World Championship in BTW. I'm not saying if, when I get this world championship, I can promise you that all the 4 years that I was gone and everyone forgot about me, I will build a kingdom of forgotten and show you what a true world champion looks like, regardless of the number of how many I've held is on my back.
For sure. No question about that. But I would also think that winning the BTW World Championship would be the most important one by
The
far.
most important, not even a
Yeah.
question. Not
So
even a
that's why
question.
this one has a lot more meaning. This has a lot more importance because not to take away what you've done elsewhere,
No,
but we know what BTW is doing. BTW is in a ring now. We got 3,000 almost 300 subscribers. We've got shows with already 30, 40, 50 plus likes on YouTube, thousands of views, and people are watching this on the biggest stage and that's why winning that Rumble gives you that opportunity. And that's why at the end of the day, if I got a choice, it's almost like a coin toss, right? And the coin toss is basically heads or tails. Heads, I win the TV title, but I lose the Rumble, or tails. I win the
no.
Rumble, lose the TV title, but I get that shot at world title number 8 and the most important world
What's
title of your career.
my career? And you're absolutely right. And that's what, at this point in my career, I feel like it needed to be. And maybe it is just the dominoes falling into place for what needs to happen for Comatose. Because, sure, it would have been nice to have the television title again. But let's face it, it is just a mid card title, and I want and have been proving, regardless if I have it or not, that I am one of, if not the top guy in BTW. But the thing that holds the credentials back is the fact that I haven't gotten that championship yet. And I will.
Yeah. And I think that that's something that you now have to think about a lot because you win the Rumble, and now that's what's up next. That's next for you. I mean, there's no going back. I think you pretty much closed the chapter with RJS. The mutual respect. I think at the end of the day, right now, your focus has to be on that World Heavyweight Championship and figuring out how to get past the Monster Blackout. You saw him here Sunday, and you've seen him before up close, but that's what's standing in front of you in order for you to get to that world title number 8. And the Monster is not going to let go of that. And by any means necessary, he is going to keep that championship. He's not letting that go.
And he won't let it go. And Tom, while you bring it up, I analyze this about Blackout a lot, and I have been thinking about this since that Rumble win these past few days. Blackout isn't alone. Regardless, he's not RTG. He could hold his own against me. Me and him could go blow for blow, and he could still very well pin me just as he has before. I've never beaten Blackout. Just as RJS has never beaten Blackout. Just as multiple people have never beaten Blackout. Blackout is a formidable force that is unfortunately almost impossible to defeat.
Yeah, RJS, he's the Buffalo Bills against against
And,
Mr.
and
Black.
and I hate to say, this, and I'm not throwing shots, and I'm not trying to segue into anything, but even a great like Aaron Blaze saw
Yep.
that
Yep.
Blackout is just a force that is almost unbeatable.
No
So
question about that. Yeah.
not only do I need to learn from my past mistake of what I did in the match against him before for just a singles match, but now I must learn from all of the others that have fought against him for that very belt and how ruthless he can get.
Well, let me ask you that question. I mean, I don't expect you to reach out and ask Aaron Blaze via telephone about Blackout, but RJS, you do have a lot of history with, and you have certainly been in the ring with him quite a bit over these past several months. Do you anticipate a conversation with him about Blackout? Do you expect to ask for his advice even to go up against him?
If I am going to be completely honest, if there is anyone in BTW I should ask advice for against Blackout, it would be RJS. because of the fact of how much history he has against him. Regardless if it's a very ugly history, it's still a history, and that is a lot more history than I have.
Which puts you
So
kind
I
of in an awkward position to ask for him advice, especially after what you two have put each other through. But that's what it may take in order for you to win the big one here. I mean, you've got to ask those that have been in the ring with him, and RJS has been in the ring with him many times. And I would think he would be that person that you ask advice for going into this showdown.
It would definitely be him. Obviously, there's another person that would be more so than him, but we all know that wouldn't happen, and I don't even need to say who that is. But RJS going against him is definitely the guy I would have to ask. And it is going to be tough because of the history. But kings were not built off of hiding from uncomfortability,
Right.
they were built off of thriving in it.
Right, that's a good analogy here. We're here with Comatose, of course. He is the 2025 BTW Rumble winner, and BTW's most recent show was BTW Rumble 9, and we're watching some of the Rumble here. And if you are here, hit the sub button for them. And my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice figuratively and literally where all music and wrestling matters. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here with us tonight, and I will get to everybody in the chat in a minute. I will come back to Blackout. I'll come back to the world title. But I have to talk about the surprise of your brother, Alex Ryder, who we're watching here. And obviously wanted to ask your opinion on that because you two certainly crossed paths here in the ring. And what was your opinion about Alex Ryder now being here in the BTW Rumble? And I'm sure you have plenty to say on that.
Now, if we want to talk about a lot of history, there is no now in BTW, apparently, one person in the entire company that I have more history with than Alex Ryder. And that is very obvious. We are brothers.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
we are brothers, and he's a man I've had a lot of trouble with in the past. He's a man that has actually taken this interpromotional title away from me with his very own hands and with another little group who faded off into the darkness called the Cult. But for some reason, when I came into this show, a lot of guys in the back were telling me that there was a surprise that I probably was not going to like happening in the Rumble. And lo and behold, my little brother, Alex Ryder, decides to show his face in BTW to once again try to cross my path and get in my way. And now he's on this righteous path to humble people. He's been one man that definitely likes to mark his own territory and march to his own beat. And I will say this, like I said in the Rumble, I'm not more worried about anybody in this company except for him.
Really? He's the one you're worried about the most. Why is that? Is it a sibling rivalry? It is history that you have together. Why him more than anyone else?
Because, ladies and gentlemen, Alex Ryder is a part of a very dark part of my backyard wrestling history. While
Hmm.
he may be my brother, like I said before, he decided to join a little circle called the Cult. And if we want to talk about why Comatose hasn't had more success in BYW, it is because of them. There is a lot of history and a lot of intricate factors that go into this that scare me
Mm.
because why are you here? What
That's a
do
great
you
question. Why
what do
is
you
he here?
want?
Do you think he's jealous of you? Do you think that your brother Alex Ryder is jealous of the recognition that you've had and that maybe he's here to try to take some of the spotlight away from you?
I wish I could say that is how my brother is, but I know him from a personal standpoint, and what I will say is he is a man that doesn't get jealous of me because he's successful in his own ways, regardless of backyard wrestling. But what I will say is this: he has an obsession with trying to humble me. And I don't know if it's just a little brother thing going against their big brother, but
Well,
I feel like maybe he feels like because he has gotten the best of me every single time we were in a ring together at Warfare for this title,
hmm
that he thinks that he is still better than me.
but there is that which you touched upon. I mean, big brother, little brother, and little brother wants to take on big brother. I mean, we see this all the time. We've seen it if you're a wrestling fan, right? We've seen it with the Hardys, right? Matt and Jeff Hardy. We've seen it in quote unquote with the Undertaker and Kane. I mean, we've seen this story so many times. We've seen it in sports. We've seen it in almost any circumstance that you have. Little brother wants to take on Big Brother and show that they can beat Big Brother. And you have been Big Brother. And while there's no question that Alex Ryder has been successful outside of the backyard circuit, but here on this platform, this is the first time that we're speaking about Alex Ryder here. And there's a lot of people that are only hearing about Alex Ryder from 2 days ago, and they're hearing his name tonight on Sportswire. They would otherwise haven't really heard or had a reason to have him discussed here on this platform. And most people are going to assume that he's here to take some of your thunder.
And that may be very true. But since my channel got deleted, since there's a
Yeah,
lot of history that has been deleted for whatever reason, people forget who Alex Ryder is.
no question.
Alex Ryder is a two-time interpromotional champion. Alex Ryder is a two-time world heavyweight champion. Alex Ryder is a one-time IDWC United States champion, and he is a multiple-time tag team champion. He is not someone to sleep on. He's not some no name just because a company got deleted because YouTube had spite for whatever reason. He did have history in backyard wrestling. And if you
For
want to
sure.
know what I think the real reason is that he came back to backyard wrestling, maybe it was a lot of the same reasons that I did. Maybe it is to show people who he is, because unfortunately he feels as if he's living in my shadow.
Yeah, and that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure. We see this, like I said, all the time. It's sometimes it's hard to fill the other shoes. I mean, it's to fill the shoes. I mean, listen, I'm trying to get off Sportswire, and there's nobody that seems to want to, fill my shoes. I mean, no, we're only joking, but no, I think there's a major point to be made that in some ways I agree with you that he's your brother and he has accomplishments, but really what makes him most dangerous is that he's motivated of the fact that you've been having this success here and he might want to have some of his own success and now he's shown up here in BTW. Let me ask you this question. Do you think that Alex Ryder we're going to see more of in BTW or do you think that this was just a one-off appearance? What is your opinions on that?
Alex, knowing Alex Ryder, this is not the end of it.
Not the end, no.
It truly does run in the blood. Regardless if you're going to see me more or if you're going to see him more, you're going to see us both.
Oh, I know we're
Multiple,
going to see you more. I don't think there's any
for
question
sure.
about that. But
Yeah, I mean,
it's about
contract is
him,
signed,
really. It's about
but
him.
but it does run in the blood, and I can guarantee you this is not the last of it. he holds grudges. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to spoil too much because we're not to that part in this match yet, obviously, as it's being
Right.
projected on the
Yeah.
screen.
Yeah, I'm
But
gonna keep it until we get to you winning it.
there was something that happened in this match that I feel like he will take a grudge about and he will come back for.
No question about that. And if you are here, do me a favor, hit the sub button to BTW, and we will get to the chat after the Rumble plays out here. I know a lot of people want to talk to you. I want to talk about a couple other things, but there is something else I want to touch upon, which will lead us to getting you here to the Rumble victory and some of those other things, which I want to talk about for a few minutes with you. Is that your other half actually has showed up with you in your match for the TV title, and we saw her and I was wondering what was that about, and just will we see more of her? And what was your opinion of that? I'm sure that you're probably a lot more happy to talk about rather than Alex Ryder, your brother, just now.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is something that I am very excited to announce. RTG is no longer the only person mentoring and managing people in BTW.
Mm,
My girlfriend, my
mm.
significant other, has signed to BTW to be my personal manager.
Whoa! How about that? Not only does Comatose have a 3-year deal, it sounds like Comatose's other half, his better half, his girlfriend, also has a contract now to be Comatose's manager. How do you like that, ladies and gentlemen, in prime time on the brightest lights? The biggest stage here, the platform where all music and wrestling matters. Sportswire Radio. Comatose's girlfriend is now a part of the BTW roster.
Yes, she is indeed. And you are definitely going to be seeing more of her this season for sure.
So, how does that make you feel? How does that develop in terms of what you'll want to do here in the ring, knowing that she's going to be here for you in whatever you're going to do, which we obviously think will be sight setting on the World Heavyweight Championship in BTW. But how does that make you feel knowing that she's going to be with you on this journey?
It is a dream come true.
Mm.
Because if I could break the fourth wall for a minute, and it's not to spoil anything, it's just to simply break the fourth wall. There is a very long history with backyard wrestlers and having a complicated relationship when it comes to females in the sport. Um, so for me to actually have the ability to have my significant other willingly wanting to be by my side is probably the greatest achievement I have ever achieved in backyard wrestling.
Wow. Wow. Okay. I mean, I wasn't ready for that answer, but you know what? I mean, maybe that is the answer you should give because obviously your girlfriend's probably out there right now or probably going to eventually watch and hear this. So that maybe should be your answer. But a lot of pressure then, though, don't you think? That, I mean, obviously your other half is going to be there watching you. And, a lot of people, if their other half, whether it's their girlfriend, their wife, or whatever it might be, when you're doing anything, you always sometimes feel like you have more pressure to perform, more pressure to succeed and do the things that you want to do. I remember when I used to play basketball. When I played basketball as a kid, for whatever reason, I remember when my parents would watch me play, I was always, more not nervous, but I felt more pressure. When I bowled, I was a very good bowler, and I got to a very high level at that. And it was always like, okay, I had, family watch me. But in this case, they wanted to watch me. When I played basketball, it was more like, okay, go out there, Sonny, and go out there. We're paying for you to play. Whereas when I was a bowler, my brothers and I were very good, and they wanted to see me perform. And I
Yeah.
mean, so it's got to be a lot of pressure though for you with your girlfriend watching you. No.
It definitely adds a bit of pressure, and there is no doubt about that in any man's life, no matter what their field is, I would say.
Yeah.
However, there are those men that thrive more so off of pressure and tend to perform more. I'm going to say better under pressure for sure. But not only she's not just a manager, she's the queen to my king. And ladies and gentlemen, I will say this with few words. This is just the beginning.
Well, obviously, we would expect that because she's now got a contract here to be a part of BTW, and I'm sure that that'll be something that will unfold over the next coming weeks and months, and we'll see that on the BTW YouTube page. You can also give them a follow on Instagram and TikTok. We will get to the chat here in a few minutes. We're watching the BTW Rumble with the 2025 BTW Rumble winner, the King of the West, the one and only Comatose. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. But no, listen, I mean, I think it's great. Obviously, it's great to see somebody's other half happy and wanting to see their other half perform and succeed, and also being there up close. You know, we've seen this in wrestling before. Obviously, we think about Elizabeth and the Macho Man, and certainly Stephanie and Triple H certainly comes to mind.
For sure.
That's obviously one that people have certainly quite an opinions on, and there's just many of them that we see. We
The
see
Miz and Maurice.
Miz and Maurice. You have Brie Bella and Daniel Bryan, Brian Danielson. For a minute, you had John Cena
Rusev,
and Nikki Bella.
Lana.
Yeah, Rusev and Lana. I mean, there's just Leader and Matt Hardy for a while. I mean, there's just many of these. Leader and Edge, Leader and Kane. Yeah, those were, let's just say,
Oh, yeah, I
go
forgot
back
about
and
that
watch the
one.
tape. Yeah. There's a lot of them in wrestling. The point is that there's just many of these, and we've got obviously Karrion Kross with Scarlett. That's obviously another one that people would see in more recent times. But I mean, I think this certainly adds something, and maybe it kind of counterbalances your brother, because think about it, right? Alex, you just spoke about, and you spoke about the history, and obviously there's definitely some competition there. It may not be so friendly, but with your other half, well, that's obviously going to be somebody that's going to be 100% by your side. So almost you can look at it and saying, whatever, if anything happens with Alex Ryder and you, your other half could maybe counterbalance that.
You can almost say it's like the angel and the devil on your shoulder.
Yeah, okay, that's a good one. I give you that. I give you that. And we really hate these ads here, by the way, but it's good for BTW because you get paid from them. But yeah, I mean that's a good point. You have an angel and a demon, and obviously there's your brother fighting and here onto the ring, and he certainly had certainly quite a performance. And
That
again,
and ladies and gentlemen, that was the moment I was speaking of earlier. If there was anything that is going to make Alex Ryder come back to BTW, it was that moment right there.
but that's not your fault. That's not your fault that he
And
got a
that
little
has
bit more
nothing to
heat.
do with me, and he might not have a grudge against me with it, but maybe he now has one with BES.
Do you expect him to have a grudge against you because of the Rumble elimination, even though you had nothing to do with it? I mean, you know your brother better than anybody else. What's your thoughts on that?
I imagine he's here for me to begin with. Um, but I also don't imagine he's just here to fight me. I imagine he's here to prove a point. And if there could, once again, to throw shots like I did earlier in the show, if there
Right.
was any headline that could possibly happen, what would be the battle of the little brothers?
Hmm.
Alex
Hmm.
Ryder versus BES, RJS's and Comatose little brothers.
Hmm. Certainly keeping it in the family, you might want to say. Let me ask you, though, one more question on your brother. I want to ask you one more question. You tell me what your thoughts are on this, because I've seen this a lot. I've seen this on here on the platform. I've been doing this a long time. I've covered sports. I used to cover college basketball. I used to go to these different games and I'd talk to different players. I covered players who had brothers on the team. So I've seen kind of how this goes. If your brother were to come in here and hold some sort of championship in BTW, would that bother you? Would you be jealous in your own right, let's say, hypothetically?
As long as he comes nowhere near the world championship, I am fine because I've won almost every championship here there is to win, except for the tag team championships and the world heavyweight championship. So if he wants to try to follow in my footsteps with the television championship, which is damn near impossible, even RJS is going to have a hard time with that. Or if he wants to try to take the Continental Championship off of RTG, which he will have the easiest time probably doing, that would probably be the smartest move. If RTG's alone.
Well, you said something, and I'm glad that you segued into that because you talked about the tag team championships, and we know that you don't hold those tag team championships, nor have you held them. Would you
I've
conversely,
never held any tag team championship in any single company I've ever been in.
and would you want a team with your brother? I mean, think about it, right? I mean, why not? I mean, if you've
Comatose
never
has a
held a tag
very.
title,
I have a hard time teaming up with people, especially like it has to be the right person. And I guess you could say if anybody was to be the right person to team up with me, it would be my brother
yeah.
if he can figure out his own problems with me for whatever reason.
Well, we still don't know what is on his mind. We don't know if he'll be a part of BTW again. And we really don't know what's going to happen between you and him. Although I do know what happened just now is that BES tried his own version of Kofi Kingston, and well, it didn't work out. Let me ask you, though, this question. And Andre Xavier is a guy that a lot of people probably don't know here on this platform. I know he's been around a little bit, and BCF Backyard Wrestling. I know some of those people there would know him, but really on this platform, this is the first we're really talking of him here about to right now. What was he like in this Rumble, and why was he as successful as he was from your vantage point objectively?
Ladies and gentlemen, right here, right now, I'm going to tell you now that I have been in the ring with all what is now 4 members of the BCF4. I will tell you this right now. Andre Xavier is by far the most talented and fearsome of all of them.
Really? And Mad Jack pinned you a few weeks ago. Really?
He did pin me, but let me remind you of this. I beat Mad Jack the very first time me and him ever got together. I cut his behind in half. Andre Xavier, while I did eliminate him, he came in much earlier in this Rumble than I did. And not only that, he was the
Yes.
last.
He was in there a long time. Yep.
He was. And not only that, he was the last of his crew. He actually came in there to save his crew. And then he made it all the way to the top 3 with 2 legends like me and Swift. And
For sure.
he showed out. And like I said in the match, not to spoil anything, it's not really a big spoiler, but what I said to him is he has heart. He had heart. And he still does have heart, and regardless if I don't like the BCF4 and I have my long history with them, oh, by the way, hold on. Let's give a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. There was a match that the BCF4 was in that I did not win. But Andre Xavier came very, very close to winning this match and cashing his stamp into BTW Mania. He was very, very close. And that is something that I feel like the locker room should think about.
Yeah, I think that there's no question that the BCF4 have certainly improved. They've added members. I mean, Mad Jack has obviously been a part of the television championship discussion. We obviously saw how the match unfolded. He also certainly defeated you, and obviously Andre Xavier had a hell of a performance in the Rumble, and he lasted, I believe, the longest of anybody in the Rumble, and he had certainly some big moments, and I think that he could certainly use that as a positive here going forward in whatever happens here post BTW Rumble 9, and obviously it's you, Swift, and him that are the final three, and it's been quite a rumble, and we're going to certainly get to the chat here in a few minutes. I appreciate your patience, but when you're in a rumble as long as this, I mean, what's the key for you, and what's the secret?
Honestly, there this was by far the and you we can go back in the BTW Rumble history, and I feel like everybody in the locker room is going to agree this was the biggest Rumble that they have ever had. There was the most key name faces. There was the most former world champions ever in this one Rumble.
Yeah.
There is nothing you can do to prepare for this except sit there and pray it goes your way.
Well, and I think also this is the first one in a ring, and I think that for a
Yes,
lot of
that
people,
that that as well. Which, by
I think
God,
that's a big deal for a lot of people. I think a
yeah.
lot of the peers of yours are watching this, and they're certainly seeing BTW now in a ring, and I think that's a big deal for the company. And I think going forward, it's only going to help the future of BTW here going forward. And we're about to watch the end of the match where you win the Rumble. We're coming up to that shortly, but yeah, I think that you had a lot of big names here, and the fact that you were able to become victorious and win the Rumble here, I think is a big deal. And I think it goes back to my original question. If you had a choice to win either the television championship or the Rumble, I'd probably rather win the Rumble because of
Es-
just the
this
significance of
Rumble,
it. Yeah,
especially this
yeah,
Rumble, because you had the four, what I believe is the four pillars of BTW, and then not
right.
only that, you had the new four pillars of BCF.
Yep,
And then not
yep.
only that, you had a blast from my past make a surprise return. And then not only that, you had Rick Manson, who also was another surprise return,
Yeah,
who by the way is Swift's little brother.
yeah, I mean, it certainly was a family affair, and you think
Yeah.
about the brothers. I mean, think about this. I mean, you had BES and RJS, you had Manson and Swift, you and Alex Ryder, and you got the BCF4, you got Gabriel James. I mean, you got certainly RTG, baby. I mean, you got a lot of big names that were in this Rumble, and I think that for you to have won it, it certainly took a lot, and there's no question the weather was a factor as well. You could see the heat and
Oh
just
God, yeah.
everything that's also another thing. I mean, guys certainly have to figure out the adjustment of that, and especially for a long show like this. And Andre Xavier and you are teaming up on Swift because obviously
Yeah.
he's the big man.
Which actually, if we're being honest, Swift was in the match the longest of
Time
anybody.
wise,
And if we're gonna be honest, he was just on a mission this Rumble. I feel like, is the most hungry for he was the most hungry for this world championship. I just don't feel like he came the most mentally prepared because I was not getting screwed over this year.
you know what? I think that that's obviously something that Swift will answer. Well, he ain't gonna answer it because Swift don't say anything. Period. So who really knows
Unfortunately,
what's going through Swift's mind? And yeah, I mean, between Xavier and Swift, who was in it longer? I think that's a good question. Time wise, I'm sure somebody in BTW statistics keeping
for
could
sure,
maybe
for
let us
definitely,
know.
yeah.
But
All I know is I came in at 15.
yes, which you obviously had to have helped you becoming number 15, right? That has to be also something you felt good about being the 15th entrant.
I will definitely say for the second year in a row coming in at 15, it definitely is an advantage point, but all of these numbers are at random if you don't announce what number you want to come in at. And you know what,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen? Comatose has been proving on a lot in BTW, but at some point, maybe coming in at number one and winning the whole damn thing sounds even better.
Well, Anthony Steele tried that with the King of Palo. He definitely tried that, and he almost did it. So, I mean, we've seen this before. People come in number one or number two in the Rumble, but and they even say in WWE when you enter number 30 in the Rumble, historically speaking, it doesn't. You actually don't have as good a chance as people think. But this time, you learned from last
This
year.
time, oh, for sure.
You definitely learn from it, and we're about to see the finish of the Rumble here coming up. We'll get to everybody in the chat, and you definitely seem determined, and I think obviously last year is certainly on your mind. Also, the television championship loss is probably on your mind, and you had to get back, and I think that those are things that are driving you here to get over the finish line.
Definitely. Definitely for sure. A lot of that is a part of the fact that the guy that was the guy that screwed me over last year is not in this match. He got eliminated a lot earlier, and there was a strategy. I will say there was a little bit of a strategy when it came down to the final four.
Yeah, I think
I
that
sat I
when you
sat there in the corner. The cameraman was panning off. He was doing the whole thing. Oh, it's the final four. It's this, and that. And the moment he said it was three of BTW's best and then one of BCF's best, that's the moment I decided this is where I can take the advantage.
yeah, you
Eh,
know what? That's a good point. That's a good point.
Because, of course, Swift and BES are going to assume I'm going to help them beat down Andre and we're just going to eliminate him. But as you saw earlier in this match, I'm here to prove that I'm not just one of, I am the best in BTW.
Well, this was again redemption. This for you was redemption from last year. This was also, I think, redemption for what happened with the television championship match. And there you have it. Comatose is your 2025 BTW Rumble winner and certainly gives him a chance to get that BTW World Championship and World Championship number 8 and win the biggest world title of his career. And you can see what it means to him, certainly from his facial expressions and what he went through. And again, guy wrestles 15 plus minutes to try to get the television title and comes back in here and puts another, I don't know, 17, 18 minutes, whatever it was, into the Rumble. And he was able to do it. And we see him here celebrating. And that is your 2025 BTW Rumble winner. I think we spoke a lot with Comatose. And there we see his other half. And she's there celebrating with him. And yeah, she can celebrate a little bit more because her other half won the Rumble and she's also got a BTW contract. So yeah, those are things that you can see. I'm going to take this off the screen because a lot of people want to talk to you. Yes, go ahead.
For sure.
Go
And
for it.
but one more thing before, just one more thing, one quick thing. Not only the BTW 9 Rumble winner, the first Rumble winner in the BTW ring.
And I think that
Can't
that's
take a
always
first
something.
away.
And you know what they always say in sports? People remember the first. It's the first of anything, right? Last night Pepper Pride wins the Indie Vision Championship in Legit Alternative Wrestling. The first ever match here on Sportswire Radio was won by Joe Stone, and while Comatose won the first ever BTW Rumble in a ring, and we are going to get to some comments because there's a lot of people that have been waiting the entire evening. And first comment was Mr. BTW, and I'm assuming it's either RTG Baby or somebody else, but they are here to say hello. So who knows who it is? We'll certainly find out shortly. Hello to Zilla. Zilla is second. Zilla also wanted to say hello here. Omen Black, the IMF champion, said that he thinks that he and Comatose need to have a conversation about a certain championship he believes means something. In the IMF, I am the one true king of the underground. Enjoy the show, sir. Okay, I don't know exactly what the reference was, but who knows there? But also, he did congratulate BTW on a successful show. So I'm not quite sure what the reference there is. I'm not sure
It sounds
what
like
the
a
reference.
challenge.
Oh, well, would you like to see Mr. Black in BTW or maybe visit Mr. Black? I mean, Mr. Black's got Justin Parsley first. I mean, Justin Parsley, we'll see if he survives next week. I mean, obviously, maybe you're rooting for Omen Black next Saturday.
I will never disrespect Mr. Omen Black because you know what?
Why?
He is right. You are a king. The problem is, sir, you are a king of the East. I'm not in the East. I'm in the West. I'm the
Well,
king of the West. So if we were to ever come inside a ring together, it would have to be something of the battle of the coast to coast kings. And you know what? Because a lot of people, or some people rather, I'm not going to disrespect most of your roster because I actually love your product and your product is top tier.
yeah, a lot of the guys
Um,
actually were waiting for you to come into the show tonight. Actually,
yeah,
a lot of guys were
your product is top tier, so I'm not going to disrespect any of your guys. But what I will say is some people like to say in your company that they're going to come and then manifest problems. And I'm not going to say one Mr. Person who was supposed to be here. I'm going to say another person who likes to manifest problems like, oh, they didn't hit me up.
Well, I don't know anything about that, but I certainly what it does sound like to me, this would be a match where it's the King of Kings. All right, that's what it sounds
The
like to
King of
me.
Kings and Omen Black is a one of the very best in the yard.
Well, it's his platform. He's the certainly boogeyman of the Midwest. He is the hardcore god, and I'm sure you'll see quite a bit of him because he'll be in your chair next Thursday night because the entire IMF will be here to get us ready for Rage in the Cage. And you're going to see some other names like Jason Storm is going to be there against Soldier GP, the ROW champion. Kato, the controversial one, is going to be in the ring with Ox McCoy, the IMF hardcore champion. Darkron's going to be in the ring with, I think, one man you were alluding to, and this guy, Anthony Steele, the IMF United States champion, alongside my high chief, the Samoan Dragon El Drago. I mean, so obviously a lot there to talk about there on Thursday, and I'm sure tomorrow night we have on another IMF roster member, which we likely think will be Felix Jones. I'm sure we'll get into
Oh,
this.
another, if I could say, another
Yes,
fantastic talent. I am
yes,
a
the Prince of Professional
huge
Wrestling.
fan of Felix Jones.
He's put on some bangers with certainly Omen Black most recently. Obviously, he's been in the ring with his dad, Soldier GP. I think he's his dad again now. Obviously, CJ Black, they've put on some wars. Il Drago, I mean, he has put on banger after banger, and he should be here tomorrow. He's going to talk a lot about Omen Black, and he'll talk about some other things here. And also, congratulations on BTW's successful show. Yes, and I put some comments in. We don't need to read my comments. Nobody wants to hear what I got to say. But it's okay. It's a joke. It's a joke. We're only kidding. Oxboy wanted to say hello. He was really wanting me to do a long intro. I don't know if my intro was as long as the usual ones, but you tell me what you think, and we'll go from there.
Your
But
intro, your intro was. I think the song with the intro is
yeah, the
just
war chant. I think I
French
like the
kiss.
war chant. Some people like the war chants. Mark Kendall of Great White seemed to like the intro, which that counts for something. And so did Rhino and Savio Vega. Yes, and I did put some more comments. But yes, hello, hello, hello. Let's get to some other comments when you were here. Bing bong, you got the intro. Remy Roberts is in the house on the promo wrestler. We will get to IGPW in a little while. He wanted to say Big Comatose. Shout out to Remy. Hope you're doing well. The Cajun Cruiser. Yes, yes, yes. And Justin Parsley is here. And say his name like
Why do
Joe
you say,
Hendry appears. And why did he say
why
my
do you
name?
say my name like that? There was no disrespect towards your name. It was more
Well, I
disrespect
think he
towards someone
don't feel
else.
too bad. He's probably figuring out his notes for Jeopardy trivia. He's got a host because that's what he does. He
Yeah.
hosts Jeopardy trivia. He should have asked me. I actually tried out for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Speaking of people, and I don't even need to try for it now. I'll get there. James Taylor is in the house. Taffy's Lounge is going on as we speak. If you like some music, some lo-fi beats to study and work out to, James has got that. But he'd like to say good morning, but it's 11:57 p.m. and it was 11:08 p.m. Like 49 minutes ago. I don't know what morning. Are you in UK
He,
time now? Australian
he's in
time?
China. He's in
What the hell?
China. He's in China investing on his
Yeah.
next mass production.
Well, you know what? That could be the case. I think he's here Saturday night. Mr. Torrance Banks is checking us. I think Torrance is here Saturday night. Good to see Torrance, one of my guys from NEW. Also, our friends over at home, a number of different places. Hello, boys. What's good? RTG is here. He wants to remind you that I told everyone Comatose would choke in the television championship match. RTG, baby.
This is coming from the guy that Pat McAfee'd himself in the Rumble.
Well, he did say, though, to be fair, on Sunday, this was almost like a free shot for him. It didn't really matter to him
And
what
sure,
he
so
did in the
you
Rumble.
eliminate yourself.
He probably wanted to
It
save
didn't.
as much energy possible for upcoming matches this season. He wanted to save himself for whatever he has to do to keep his career going. You could
My
make that.
problem, my thing with RTG, no, I can't. Okay, so there's a lot of times where, yeah, we got to give RTG credit. He does think chess and not checkers. I'll give him this. This is one of the very few times I'll give RTG credit. He does think methodically. But
Right?
if you want to tell me with a straight face that the guy willingly got in the ring, got beat down by everybody that was in the ring, and he thought that out, and then by himself climbed over the top rope and then got punched off and didn't realize he eliminated himself. He literally argued with the cameraman because he
Well,
didn't realize
he did bring
that
this
he
up,
eliminated himself.
well, I
He's
sort of agree with you, but he did also bring up this instance would potentially come up on Sunday's show. So I mean, look, it was a free shot. It didn't work out for him, but it doesn't make a difference toward his career because he still continues. So, and speaking of which, he has more comments. Why did my monster do at the Rumble after walking off the show pissed off? He destroyed Iron Blaze and will do the same at Mania to you, Dumato. So I mean, listen. Aaron Blaze threw literally everything but the kitchen sink at Blackout, and he still couldn't win the big one. He still couldn't get the job done, and that's a point that RTG has made. Guys, time and time again, have tried to topple the monster, and they haven't been able to. And what do you say?
Well, what I gotta say is he said he destroyed Aaron Blaze. And if we can do a quick recap, and I will defend Aaron Blaze in this situation,
Sure.
Blackout also threw everything he had at Aaron Blaze, and he barely got up at the end of that match.
That's true, but Aaron Blaze, this was his moment. He was undefeated in BTW. There was a lot of hype here. He's the headline. And yet it's another instance in a world title match that Aaron Blaze comes up short. I've seen this story before in other places, and I agree with you. Blackout certainly didn't dominate, but he's the incumbent, and it doesn't matter what the record books say, long as you win. There's no story about, well, he narrowly won by 1/10 or
Yeah,
1%, whatever it is.
that's true.
He
That's true.
won, and he did beat
Yeah.
Aaron Blaze, and I mean,
He's
Aaron
beaten
Blaze goes
me, and
back
he
to the
has beaten
drawing.
me.
Yeah, and you know,
He's beaten me 1, 2, 3 in the ring, and whether or not, let me remind everybody what happened in that match between me and Blackout. I got distracted by RJS, and I actually had Blackout. I actually would and
yep,
might have
yeah,
been your world champion probably a lot earlier, because that match would have given me no doubt a number one contendership, because it wasn't for the world title.
yep,
It was just a champion versus champion. But no doubt,
yep.
if I beat
And that was a
Blackout,
match that RTG made here on Sportswire. That was a match he made here about 6 months ago onto the platform before the season ended. So yeah, I agree with you. There's no question that you hung in there, you hung tough, and you had Blackout right where you wanted him, but you didn't
I
win, but you learned from
I
it. You learned
didn't.
from it.
I learned from it, and here's the difference between that situation and what is going to be the main event of BTW Mania, which is me versus Blackout for the BTW World Heavyweight Championship. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm already your backyard wrestling interpromotional champion. So what a better way, what a better headline, what a better actual front cover than the two biggest champions in the company going at it for what is the biggest championship in the company. And ladies and gentlemen, the difference is this time there won't be an RJS to distract me, because I know RTG feels very confident enough in his monster, since he just lets him run rampant. He's not going to interfere.
Well, you know what? Those are great questions. We're going to certainly be asking over the next several weeks, and hit the sub button for our friends in BTW. That's why he'll choke against Blackout. Dumatos doesn't show up in the big matches. Well, you won the Rumble just now. You did win the Rumble. And Torrance Banks just subbed to BTW. That is definitely what's up. And he's rooting you on. And Torrance should be here Saturday night. So I got a lot to talk about with him. Speaking of people that are going to be wrestling Saturday night, Silas Walker is going to be defending his DBW Global Championship. When he won their Rumble, it's what finally put me in the prime position to become what I am now. It's a good point. He wins the Rumble, and look at where he is now. And that's why I said a little while ago that winning the Rumble, I would rather have won the Rumble than regain the television championship. He just made my point. Thank you very much for doing that. Hello to Torrance and Silas Walker. But he also makes a great point. You can't celebrate too much. You got to stay locked in. Your work is never done. It's almost like, listen, you win the conference championship in football or in basketball. You're an NBA guy, you're an NFL guy, and you get to the championship game, but you didn't win it. People don't remember the teams that get to the big game and don't win. They remember those that get there and got the job done, and your job is only half completed. You'll complete it when you win the championship at BTW Mania. Yes. Will you reach your end game, Comatose? I'm reaching mine. That's a point that I think we just spoke about. Speaking of people, my high chief, my Samoan dragon is here. The one and only Mr. Il Drago is here, and he's also in a similar position as you because he's got a briefcase in his own right, and he's also got Anthony Steele next Saturday, who I think you were alluding to, and he'll talk a lot about that. Is that dude just wrestling in socks, no shoes? Future world champion. Better watch out. I think you're talking about Rick Manson. I think that was Rick Manson wrestling with no shoes. Yeah, reminds me of a Bob Marley song, but we won't talk about that. Justin and Mandy. Oh yeah, right. Because his other half and a company
To be
that
fair,
in a company I'm not going to mention. We're just not
to
going
be
to go
fair.
there. And Brandon Castelli and his other half, who is the DBW World Heavyweight Champion in the Underground, would also count for that. Brandon Castelli, who rocks hard. Brandon and his
He rocks hard.
fiance, actually. Yeah, his girlfriend definitely rocks hard, and she's always there with him. And she's, I guess, kind of his manager. Sometimes she is, sometimes she's not. But hello to Il Drago. And shout out to Brandon. Brandon just had a vlog. I watched his vlog on his way to VTW and DBW, and it was great as always. Forge your own path and turn your championship into something more meaningful. I've done it. He has done it. He has certainly made his career, I think, in the last year more than the previous 10 years. And that's a great point. And I will be seeing you in 9 days, Mr. Parsley. I told you Justin Parsley's got a lot of problems, and we'll probably get into some of those problems tomorrow night should Felix Jones be here. Great questions here. We are now getting into the nitty-gritty here. She didn't help much in the TV match. Now, did she? What, she only shows up in matches you win? You must have known you were going to lose. Like I said, RTG, baby. I put the baby in there because he likes me.
That doesn't even make sense. Hold on, wait. You said she only shows up in matches you win, but she showed up in a match I lost.
Well, I think what he meant was after the match, she came out and congratulated you, whereas she didn't come out.
That's because I called her in the ring, actually.
That's true, too.
But if I will say, if you actually watch the triple threat, she actually pulled me out of the ring to comfort me.
That's true. I mean,
in the triple threat match, she pulled me out of the ring.
I think what he's referring to maybe is after the match. I think that's
well, to be fair, I was out. I was pretty out cold.
You got a rocket bomb from RJS.
I was pretty out cold. I mean, I couldn't. I mean, after what was it? A rocket bomb?
Yeah, rocket bomb.
An absolute beating from RJS.
You got German suplex several times consecutively. Yeah.
Consecutively, I don't think I'm gonna get up and ask anybody to get in the ring.
I mean, that's obviously a question I'll let the missus ask. Big talk for somebody who couldn't keep the title when he met me. RTG is definitely playing mind games. He is getting back to that chess and checkers. And it's a great point because technically Omen Black, I know for you it's the
Midwest.
East, the Midwest.
Midwest.
Yeah.
Midwest.
And Silas, as I stated, will be in action this coming Saturday night. And Silas will be on here right afterwards very soon. Very soon he'll be here. And he's going to show his own path, and he'll be wrestling Mr. Austin James, who's, by the way, been in this little company called GTS. So very excited to see that match. You're going to see a lot of other people there. Yep, a lot of great talents are going to be there. And By the way, Chase Wakefield's back next Friday, so that'll make Silas Walker's blood really boil. It'll probably make him want to not be here on Sportswire, and probably a lot of people like Justin Parsley, Omen Black, Il Drago, when they hear Chase Wakefield's name, they won't be here. But yeah,
Historically, Comatose loves Chase Wakefield.
no, a lot of people like you interviewed him, but no, it's a joke. I think people will be here for him because he always has something to say. But have fun playing pretend amongst yourselves. I'm not sure where that reference is, but Darkron, of course, the Underground OG, who will be in action next Saturday, of course, in that United States Triple Threat title match against Anthony Steele and Il Drago. And the Underground OG, I'm sure, will be a topic tomorrow night. And also, he'll be a part of, I have no doubt, ROEW's Friday Night Face-Off tomorrow night. And I won my championship match, didn't I? RTG, baby. So RTG is definitely giving it out. And let me get to some more comments. And we're actually not too far away from the last one. Oh, trust me, Comatose, you wouldn't want to meet me in the ring. I'm no RTG or RJS or ABC. 1, 2, 3, baby, you and me. Only 3 other letter names here. It would definitely be a bad boy for one of us who isn't named Omen Black. So that's what he's telling you, that he's not RTG, he's not RJS, or he's not any of the Jackson 5 songs like ABC.
Yes, and I want to remind Mr. Omen Black that I am no stranger to hardcore and extreme rules matches, so I am not scared of these threats like other people would be. You may be a boogeyman to other people, but I am the king of the West, and ladies and gentlemen, I've never lost a street fight in my entire backyard wrestling career.
Well, you know what? That could certainly be something that we will like to see going forward, and we'll see what happens. Hello there to Zilla. Yes, thank you, Zilla. Speak of the facts, speak the truth, and we love the House of Wolves, and we love Omen Black. It is his show. I'm sure he'll appreciate that. Yes, we love the ring and BTW. We love our friends. Please hit the sub button for them. Keep doing you. It's great seeing other wrestlers thrive in their environments. Big things coming for the future. I can feel it. I definitely agree. In fact, Silas was talking with Mr. Ace Christian, a man you share a locker room with. We had a great conversation, and Mr. Christian eventually will be back on the platform here. No, we will not talk about the Night Ranger song Sister Christian, but we will definitely have him here to talk about a lot of what he's up to. Certainly VTW, DBW, and WDWA. He's wrestling in the independent out there in West Virginia. A lot of friends we have in West Virginia, and I'm excited about that. And I feel like I've been to West Virginia, though I've never been there. I talk about it so much. Yes, hello there. And thank you, Darkron. Let me get to Mr. RTG, though. Remember you said there was no way in hell RJS would pin you in that match, that if you lost, it would be Mad Jack getting the pin. Yeah, we did talk a lot about Mad Jack. Mad Jack was definitely the guy that a lot of people, myself included, thought maybe would walk away with that television championship. But RTG wants to remind you of it.
And I want to. Well, I mean, if there is anybody that would like to make any replays of when I said that, I never said that. As a matter of fact, I recall me and RJS undermining Mad Jack because of the fact he's the guy that had to prove himself and hadn't had any success at all in our circuit. As a matter of fact, what I said was is I expected another legend like RJS to be the one pinning me because Mad Jack is just Mad Jack.
Well, you know, that's a interesting point. I mean, I do remember we talked a lot about Mad Jack and his kind of role in this situation. And we talked about your history with RJS, and obviously RTG remembers things, and you know, it doesn't
He
matter at the
remembers
end.
things a little wonky sometimes.
Well, congratulations on your win, Comatose. Let's get back on track.
Oh,
Justin
hold on. I
Parsons,
just gotta say salute to the tribal chief.
and a lot of people are rooting for my high chief against Anthony Steele coming up next Saturday. But we'll see. We'll see. Anthony Steele has certainly threatened to do things that I can't repeat on this platform, like burning the Ulafalas, and he wants to do it live in front of Il Drago's family and especially his other half. And I don't know, and I hope that doesn't happen. But
That's like burning my crown.
well, I mean, I hope it doesn't happen. I know Il Drago won't let it happen. I know that the legendary Underground OG, Darkron, and Il Drago will not let that happen. It'll be a hell of a match, and those guys are going to be here to talk about that. I'm very excited about that. Omen Black is beatable, according to Justin Parsley. Now, technically, Justin Parsley, technically, has a pinfall victory over Omen Black because they had a match in a company that we shall not name, and him and his then tag team partner Rob Slater pinned Omen Black. I mean, they pinned him, but you know, let's just
You want
leave
to
it.
know? You know what?
See
You
what I
want to know
mean?
what this
See what I
sounds like?
mean? He
You want to know what
obviously
this sounds like to me, Tom?
what?
This sounds like a whole lot of flexing a lot of balls that no one has really shown against Comatose. For some reason, we got Mr. Omen Black and Justin Parsley arguing with each other in the
They've been
comments.
doing that, but you know what? Though, don't listen, Comatose. Don't you worry about that because these
I'm
guys.
not
Let me
I'm
tell you
not
something.
worried about it. What I'm worried about is this. Neither one of you have pinned Comatose.
But let me tell you about these two guys real quick before I come back to you. There's a lot more comments. We're going to get to you. These guys, let me tell you something. These guys have been going back and forth for now 18 months toward each other. These guys, listen, let me
Oh,
tell you
really?
something. These
Okay.
guys been 18 months. In fact, it even goes back to when Justin Parsley was getting inducted into the Hall of Fame here for the first time on this platform because this all started somewhere on the road. Listen, Omen Black was on the road, and this started with Justin Parsley. These guys have a long history. They have a long checkered past. It goes to multiple states, multiple promotions. I mean, so these guys, let me tell you something. It's going to be a big topic tomorrow, which way you got to tune into Felix Jones here. And yes, congratulations to Comatose on winning the 2025 BTW Rumble. And their first encounter correctly was where Omen Black and then his partner, Soldier GP, absolutely decimated Justin Parsley, and then his tag team partner, the essential one, Rob Slater, who now, according to these days, probably got the essential layoff, kind of like our furlough, kind of like some people these days. Let's not get into that. But if you don't, I don't blame you. You're an idiot from Indiana, so I'll remind you, you lost to me. I'm not going to go there on that because the Pacers did beat the Bucks,
I
and
was about to
he also,
say that's a big
yeah.
statement.
I was going to say the same thing, and I use small words for you there. You're welcome. And I can actually, I've known Omen for a very long time. It is his platform, and I can actually hear him say it. You're welcome. I can hear him say it. I mean, that's how
Hold
well
on, hold
I
on, hold
know
on.
him.
Wait. Do it in that tone again.
You're welcome. I can.
Welcome.
Yeah, I can hear. I can. I listen. I know Omen Black. I mean, James Taylor and myself. We're the ones that put Omen onto these platforms, and I can hear Omen saying this. And I know on Thursday when he's back on Sportswire in your chair, he's going to say exactly that to Justin Parsley. Anthony Steele is all bark. Well, I mean, listen, he really wants to burn these Ulafalas, and he's been hell bent on that. And he had plenty to say as he always does. So we'll have to see. And Justin Parsley, because he does naturally host Jeopardy trivia, wanted to correct Omen Black. And also, all I got to say is the High Chief will sit at the highest point of the island, and soon will be my time will come, and I will be the final chief. And he is the only Samoan to have ever won a briefcase. Let me repeat this: the only Samoan to have ever won a briefcase. That is a fact. Um, I figured you want me a part of your monarchy, and he also wants to say, and Omen's here acting as your jester. Justin Parsley certainly interchanneling his Godric Sandwell here, but I would remind people that didn't help Godric Sandwell yesterday. He lost yet another world championship match. So will Justin Parsley turn into Godric Sandwell? Well, we'll stay tuned. We'll have to find out. And you have no idea what is coming for you in 9 days. Yeah, because you know what? Sean Jovi, look at what happened to him. Felix Jones, look at what happened to him. Look at what Mephisto had to deal with. I mean, you can go up and down the list of people, and will Justin Parsley finally be the one to take the IMF championship from Omen Black? Who really knows? But we'll talk a lot about that tomorrow. No, that's because you're a sick freak who said that live in ROEW. Yeah, he's talking. See, I told you about Justin Parsley. Justin Parsley, maybe he won't come because of these things. But obviously, we're here with Comatose. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice figuratively and literally where all music and wrestling matters. Now, before I get to a few final words, so IGPW, I see you have a chairs matchup coming, and let's talk about it.
Yes, I have a chairs match with a man named JB. And ladies and gentlemen, here in IGPW, my very first match was against a man named the Drifter Tommy Morgan.
Yes,
And
I know Tommy. I know Tommy very well. We were talking
yes,
about this off the air.
and if I could give, if no one saw the results, if no one knew the results of the match between me and Tommy Morgan, I lost against Tommy Morgan by a single point.
I noticed it sounded like, oh, I hate to say this because he's going to hear this, but it sounds like you kind of lost the way James Taylor lost some TPW matches.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I'm not gonna say that I'm not gonna downplay Tommy Morgan's promo articism.
No, no, no. He's a very good promo artist. No, I
He
agree
is
with you.
formidable. He is
Very formidable.
formidable. But if I will to defend myself on this one matter,
Go for it.
I had 5 minutes to perform that promo,
Yeah. Yeah.
and Tommy Morgan had a whole hour. He edited, made the promo, and cut the video, and I shot it straight, and I got one less point than he did. Ladies and gentlemen, this promo that we are watching right here, right now, is just a hype promo.
Yeah. We
JB,
have the match on the weekend.
yeah, I have one more hype promo and then a match promo. And JB has failed to respond to me yet. JB,
Yeah, I've seen this
JB,
before.
JB, JB. You talk so much crap about your past opponent, how he didn't show up, and how you didn't even need to put up a hype promo for him because it was going to be nothing. JB, where are you at? I'm a guy that's in a ring. I'm a guy that can chop you up on a stick anytime, any place, any day. I can chop up a whole hell of a lot of people. It doesn't matter who you are on a stick. Sure, you want to talk about my wrestling ability? There isn't a whole lot of people in the yard that can chop it up with me on the stick. Let's face it. But,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, maybe that's the reason why JB has failed to respond.
Well, maybe he's just maybe wants maybe wants a do over.
I mean, maybe. I mean,
Maybe he wants to decide
this
that
is
he
just
just
a
wants to
hype.
be his man. Yeah.
This is just a hype, buddy. I mean, I'm waiting for your one hype. Like, at least give me a hype so we can get the match going.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I don't know. Sometimes I've covered promo wrestling quite a bit the last several months, and sometimes you just, for whatever reason, these guys, they don't do it. They just, or they forget to put their promo out or their hype out, or I really have no idea. I certainly am excited to see whatever JB brings out there. I'm sure we'll talk about it, but you look to be a full-time member of the IGPW roster here, huh?
Um, Ladies and gentlemen, 2025 is going to be a lot bigger of a year for Comatose than a lot of people think it is. There's a lot that's coming out.
Well, I mean, we'll certainly see what happens with that, and obviously, we certainly talked a lot about with you and James Taylor in a promo match, and we got a little bit of a taste of what that could be potentially. But time will tell if that's going to be a match that we'll see one day, or in the promo, or even in the wrestling ring. So that'll be something that we'll keep an eye on. If you want to follow Comatose, by the way, before we move on here, you can check him out on Instagram, and you can see some of his different promos, some of his stuff for IGPW, certainly our friends in BTW, and definitely check him out. He is also on Facebook as well, and you can look him up, but most importantly, give him a follow on Instagram. He's closing in on 6,000 plus followers, and he's, oh, by the way, the BTW Rumble winner. So we've talked a lot tonight about you winning the Rumble, what you went through. We've talked a lot about your brother. We've talked about your girlfriend now being a part of BTW. We've put to bed your history with RJS. But in the immediate future, on that road to BTW Mania, what do you think our audience can see next from Comatose?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, obviously, while it hasn't been as active as recently, FCW is still a thing, and there is definitely going to be more shows coming out with that soon, for sure. There has just been a little hiatus simply because Comatose has had to go around and film a lot of things. Um, but ladies and gentlemen, FCW Full Combat Wrestling is still a thing. You're going to see me in IGPW. You are going to see me regularly every single week on BTW, ladies and gentlemen. And Tom, the grind just doesn't stop. My own channel is going to be booming with new things here soon, too.
Hell yeah. I mean, listen, that's what we want to see. We want to see more content. FCW. We'll definitely get some of the guys on eventually. BTW. Listen, we got a lot of BTW coverage to talk about. I'm sure that that guy who you sort of referenced subtly, Aaron Blaze, will be a topic. I know RTG is going to certainly have plenty to gloat about him. He will eventually be a topic. I do want to give my thoughts to everybody out there the last few days that has been impacted in Pennsylvania by these massive power outages out there and tornadoes. I know Aaron Blaze was impacted by it. It was on Instagram. He had posted something. But I know some of the guys in DBW, I think, have been impacted by it. I know the wildfires were a major issue last week. I know some of the guys from our friends over at Legit Alternative Wrestling were severely impacted by the power outages. So I hope if you're out there, please be safe. And we hope that your power is restored. And once your power is restored, you come back onto Sportswire Radio. And please support our friends over in BTW. And you can certainly do that by hitting the sub button for them, BTW Rumble Born to Wrestle 3. That's their YouTube channel. Definitely check out that. You can watch the full show and a number of different things here. So before we move on, you're finally getting your wish. You're finally going to meet him. Dirty Donnie really messed up by suspending Reverend Solomon, because now with him gone, you're going to meet he who has been watching you. That's for Justin Parsley. We got all that. But yeah, Il Drago, that's going to be a topic tomorrow, I'm sure. Felix Jones, yeah, he's going to follow what you've had to say tonight. We'll certainly get into that. But is there anything else that you want to talk about here before closing thoughts?
Ladies and gentlemen, the only thing that I have to say is this. If no controversy happens within BTW or what is it, the Northwest Society who runs BTW, you are looking at the champion of not only BTW but backyard wrestling. Because not only will I be holding the BTW Heavyweight Championship, I will also be holding the Backyard Wrestling Interpromotional Championship.
Yeah, we were talking a lot about that yesterday. We were talking with Jackson Blade about the situation with James Taylor and Dalton Skull, and I think it's similar to what we're going to see here between you and Blackout. We were talking about BTW and BYCW and those two world heavyweight championships in the backyard, and those are the two championships right now everybody is looking at: the PWF Uprising Championship and certainly the BTW World Heavyweight Championship. With the Underground, we know it's IMF and ROEW that are at the forefront on top, and in the backyard, many people are saying BTW and BYCW, and just the irony of Comatose and James Taylor looking to vie for major world heavyweight championships. And tomorrow we've got Felix Jones here to talk about Justin Parsley, Il Drago, Omen Black, Darkron, the Underground OG, and I'm most certainly sure Anthony Steele will be a topic, plus a slew of other names, Soldier GP. It's just a long list, and boy, it's got me fired up. It's got me excited, and I can't wait to talk about that. Torrance Banks is in the house, I believe, Saturday night, so a lot of good stuff ahead. The only place, the only platform where you're going to hear all these wrestling companies is most certainly this platform, the platform that you helped build, everybody here in this chat, the platform that where you got Rhino and Savio Vega here. We didn't pay for them. We didn't get like everybody else that says, oh, well, I'll charge you $100 and I'll come onto your platform. No, they came here free. They wanted to be here because of people like you, Comatose, BTW, IMF, ROEW, DKW, NEW, you name it, BYCW. It's because of all of you and all these big shot heavy metal hard rock guys. They're here because you come here every night, you hit that sub button, they see the views, they see the subs. You made this platform, and you're going to get the very best here. I am looking at the champion of choking and championship matches. No, he's not talking about his San Francisco 49ers. He's talking about you, but he doesn't need to help his monster beat you. Il Drago gave a sub to BTW. That's great stuff. We love seeing that. But we'll have to have, so I'm sure, resume much of this talk in the coming weeks because we still have a little bit of time between now and BTW Mania. But I pass the baton to you, good sir. I give you the floor. Anything else you want to say? And now you can take it away.
Ladies and gentlemen, like I said before, 2025, unlike some people who want to say this year is going to be their year, 2025 simply and already inevitably, as I used to be called before, the inevitable one, is Comatose's year, and it starts with the BTW 2025 Rumble win, along with the fact that I am a 365 plus day holder of the biggest prize in backyard wrestling. And ladies and gentlemen, after I win the BTW Heavyweight Championship from Blackout at BTW Mania in the main event, what doubt will there be then?
You know what? Time will certainly tell. I know one thing, Comatose certainly took one step closer to that and World Championship number 8 by winning the BTW Rumble. And we will have to see if Comatose will win that big one. As RTG says, he calls him a choke artist pretty much, but we'll have to see. BTW Mania is a little bit away from now, and we'll see what happens between now and then. We'll see also what Comatose has up his sleeve in the world of BTW. FCW stuff is on the way. Also, IGPW. JB, I hope you're listening out there. I hope we see you hype. I hope we certainly see another hype promo from you in the ultimate match, but itself, and we'll have to see. You can go to Comatose's Instagram page to follow him, get more details on what he's up to. Please go out there and support him. Support all of our friends here, especially at BTW, and I'm looking forward to having more BTW coverage here in the next few weeks, and we'll certainly resume this conversation, my friend, next month in the coming weeks, and thank you as always, and congratulations, my friend, on winning the BTW Rumble, and we will see if World Championship number 8 is coming real soon, but until then, enjoy the Rumble victory. Congratulations on your other half becoming a new member of the BTW roster, and I don't know if I should say congratulations on your brother yet, but I have to say time will tell, and I'm sure we'll talk about him again next time you come on here. All right, that was the one and only Comatose. He is the BYW Interpromotional Champion. He is also the 2025 BTW Rumble winner. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. You have voice figuratively and literally where all music and wrestling matters. If you're here on Sportswire Radio, thank you so much, everybody here, for tuning in. We'll be here later tonight, now New York time, with Felix Jones, most likely. So stay tuned for that. Hit the sub button for us. Hit the sub button for our friends in BTW, and also Comatose. Give him a follow as well. And until then, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on the number one global radio station that is Sportswire Radio, where all music and wrestling matters. Thank you, everybody.